The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
Hi, and welcome to Politically Speaking. I'm David Shearman. My guest today is Ross Kentner, who is, among other things, the mayor of Meaford. Ross, good to see you today.
Good to be back. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Now, Ross, I have to say that is this a political thing that I've noticed several politicians have ditched their glasses?
I wish I were Pierre Poilievre's age. But I am going to have to use these cheaters when I check my notes. So
I see.
It is amazing. I am seeing things in Technicolor that I haven't noticed in color for a long time.
Sure. And does that mean you'll be able to match your socks?
I should be able to do that, and I like to do that. I will advertise that I had this done right in Meaford Hospital. Dr. Sasha does these operations right in Meaford, and I was so impressed with how expeditiously it can be done.
And this was cataract surgery, was it not?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. My grandmother was one of the first patients in Canada to have cataract surgery. And just to show you how far it has come, this was back in the early 1960s. She had to spend 2 weeks in bed with her head absolutely immobile, surrounded by sandbags.
Oh my gosh. Oh, wouldn't that be terrible?
So you didn't have that experience at all?
He said, you can go to a meeting in the afternoon if you really feel you want to.
Yes, and I'm sure as a dedicated elected official, you would do that.
I did. Honestly, it was, in at 7:15, out at 9 o'clock, and on with your day. Totally amazing.
Wonderful. Well, let's get on to some of the business of Meaford that is going on. And I guess one of the big things in the municipal governance is you're starting to search for a new CAO.
Yes, and really, this has been ongoing for a while, but we are, and we're doing this internally. We're not engaging an executive search firm for this purpose. It's a fairly small, community, the municipal public service, and there are a lot of highly qualified people, and often people are looking to move up or sideways or whatever, you know what I mean? And also an interesting thing is that we are our interim CAO, who has been our clerk, is interested in being considered for the position, and I must say has really guided us extremely well, along with our HR person, through the past while, so that I feel that we are right up to speed with where we thought we would be in our first year.
So it'll be an internal search, and when do you expect to be able to make an announcement?
That depends on many things, but I'm hopeful that it can take 2-4 months. It can take 6-8 months. My preference would be 2 or 4 months, but we'll just have to see how things play out.
For sure, to be sure. Well, there'll be a number of new CAOs then, because I know Georgian Bluffs is looking for a new CAO, hasn't announced one yet, you just never know. It's people are always moving.
I have a completely new appreciation for what the job involves. I mean, I was a CAO for many years, and it isn't that I don't know what's involved, but the public sector is very different from the private sector, and I feel that if nothing else, we have moved much closer to what I believe the model was designed to produce, and that is a high degree of collaboration between staff and councillors. And I think that, first of all, we have a council that is, we're different people, and we have, different values and different ideas about things, but we work together extremely well. And I found it challenging at first in my first 4 years as a counselor to get used to the idea of working with staff. I was on the other side in the broadcasting business, and I was lucky. I had an owner who was very hands off and let us do a lot of the decision making. And I think that our staff has been used in Meaford to driving the bus, if you like. And I think now, however, we're collaborating much more. And I think by having allowed the process to govern our strategic priorities for this term, it was a bumpy road at first, or a few speed bumps, but gradually we started learning to work together. And because after all, we've picked 16 projects that are, if we get them done in this 4 years, it will move the needle on all the important pillars for our municipality. And so I'm feeling that by having taken a little more time, a little more stress, working with the staff we have, we've arrived at a better place than we might have had we hired consultants. I was just in a meeting yesterday when we were comparing notes, and both staff and us agreed that one of the projects that we worked on in the last year involving consultants, we didn't get a lot of value for money. We got the answers, but we could have come by them without spending that money, in my view. And so I think this has been a good exercise. And now we're hitting the ground running, and I believe we'll have good success in accomplishing these 16 priorities that we have set out to do.
Good. Well, one of the issues that is common right across all of the municipalities in Grey Bruce, and these are the ones that, and certainly this is reflected in all of the conversations I have with municipal politicians, is what are called STRs or STAs, short-term rentals, short-term accommodations, and Meaford has decided to bite the bullet on that project as well.
Mm-hmm. So I don't think any other topic has generated more mail into our inboxes. And I think we're really being educated very well. Like I'm glad that we've had this mail. I find the people who are running these short-term rentals for many different reasons and many different ways and circumstances are all trying to solve their problems, but they don't want to be a problem to the municipality or to anyone else. And I feel that we've had some really, really good input. This will be one of the more challenging ones, but the good news is some of our near neighbors are going through the same process. I believe Owen Sound just adopted theirs. And I think it sounds to me like they have taken a much more stringent approach than what I would like to see in Meaford. I believe that we need to strike a very careful balance here, because these enterprises, they're not just for people who have an extra dwelling place. This is about our tourism industry. It's about bringing people to fill our restaurants and our theater. You know what I mean? It's about the people who are coming to Meaford to recreate and to enjoy themselves. And all the amenities and the wonderful natural assets that we have. And I feel we need to be very, very careful in how we do this. And I'm sure other councillors will agree. We've learned a lot going through this process. And I hope we will tidy it up. I think we promised that we would have this for the May 24 weekend in the municipality of Meaford. I think we can do that. But I think we'll benefit from the fact that a lot of local municipalities are trying to sort this out at the same time. And I am hoping that we can really do a good balancing act.
Yes, Owen Sound just adopted their STR regulations, and they meet. I gather they meet the needs of Owen Sound, but the pioneer, of course, is your neighbor to the east, town of Blue Mountains. And we've had conversations on this show with Mayor Matsos about, and the whole history behind them. And they've been doing this for about 10 years.
Yes,
and
they're ahead of the curve.
They're well ahead of everyone.
But that's because they are really Toronto's playground. If there's a focus for that activity right now, Thornbury is it, and town of Blue Mountains. Anyway, that's one of 16 priorities. And would you like me to talk a little bit about where we are in this process?
Sure. Go ahead, Ross.
What I want to stress is that we're going public. We're going to have a meeting at Meaford Hall on November 29th from 5 to 7 p.m. And what this is going to be is not a formal council meeting. It's going to be a very informal session. There will be a cash bar. Yes, and there will be refreshments, and there will be coffee and tea as well. So here's the thing: it is an opportunity for us to get together with the electorate and ratepayers just past the 1 year mark, and take a look at what our plan is for the balance of the term and these 16 priorities that we have arrived at. And some of them will be presented by councillors, and some of them will be presented by staff. But it will be an open. It won't be a formal council meeting. It'll be like a cocktail party, and basically, anybody. I imagine that we'll gather around certain projects and discuss them and sort of move through these 16 items. And there'll be ample opportunity for people to speak about it, chat it up. If they want to ask a staff member, they can. If they want to ask a councillor, they can. And then if they go online, there is also an opportunity to provide input and actually learn. There will be several opportunities with respect to each project for public input to get ideas from the public. And I'll give you a couple of examples where that would really be valued. One of them is let me get the actual charters out here. So, for example, in investing in infrastructure, you know what? Okay, two-sided copying. It's not going to work. Let me just list some of these off. Water and wastewater master plan update. Long-term facility portfolio management. Expansion of wastewater treatment plant. That's a biggie. Water and wastewater rate study. Another important thing there. Our rates have been going up 8% a year. It's not sustainable, and we've got to take a look at how we can make this more affordable for people. Climate change mitigation and resiliency. Municipal environmental regulations for development projects. That speaks loudly about the TC Energy project. And I hope we get time today to talk a little bit about the fact that we are going to be spending some time in a Zoom meeting shortly with a representative of the Federal Impact Assessment Act, so that we get a stronger understanding of our role as a municipality in contributing to controlling the environmental impacts of that project. A municipal tree inventory, which I told you we actually have, that one has been completed. Electric vehicle charges, we don't have any yet, but we soon will. But I was thinking of the ones that in particular public input would be good. The downtown public realm plan, and also reestablishing Market Square. Those are two projects where people will have a ton of ideas, and we'll need their thinking and their ideas on that. Municipal housing affordability measures. One thing I would say that Meaford has hosted two important forums just in the past month on housing, and I feel that we are very, very adamant that we want to move the needle on affordable housing. Worker housing is what I want to say. In other words, if you come to a point where the people in your municipality can no longer afford to live here, then they won't be working in our restaurants or in our food stores or other retail establishments. And that means that some of the stores on the main street will revert to blank windows, broken windows, and it means that our whole standard of living goes down. So it's critically important that we solve this problem. And I think that it wasn't that long ago that some of us talked that, housing, that's federal and provincial. Well, if it isn't municipal at this point in time, we're going to lose our communities. Anyway, I've pontificated here. You go ahead, David.
Well, I mean, those are the key points you'll be making at the event. I was just thinking, you better watch the bar prices, because I don't know whether you're aware, but I know when I lived in New Brunswick, the price of a vote was considered to be a Mickey of rum.
I think that this will be a cash bar.
Aha. Okay. All right. Just to be clear. Well, I think all of these things are important, because they are I mean, in a sense, you're creating a report card for yourselves as a council.
That's it. And as candidates, we all promised that. And really, I thought that we would have this done maybe in September, October. It's unfortunate, but it took us this long. However, I feel when we present that report card, I hope people are going to say, well, you've done your best here, and this is we'd like to see these projects move ahead. And I think it will be very, very valuable.
You're just barely 1 year over your first
yes,
your first year term of your 4-year term. So don't be too hard on yourselves.
I just feel over in the previous council, we had these priorities. I call them pillars, like investing in infrastructure. When are you not going to want to do that? Ensuring sustainability. If we don't do that, we'll never arrive where we hope to go. And so for these reasons, rather than we didn't want to just come up with new pillars, because it'll take us 10, 20 years to accomplish those fundamental pillars of a good municipality. But what we can do is do some specific projects, each of which moves the needle on those fundamental pillars.
Yeah, it's an important part of your accountability to the electors, for sure.
So what else is on your mind?
Well, I was going to ask you, speaking of council matters, you did something kind of interesting as a council, in that you approved the temporary rezoning of a piece of agricultural land for the Johnny B garage site on a short-term basis, because you wanted the business to continue. But if I read the newspaper correctly, boy, did you guys go out on a limb.
We have. I would hope that we would go out on this limb for anyone else who is an employer in our municipality and provides a valued service. I really believe we would. The limb we're going out on is that this is not just agricultural land, but it is specialty agricultural land. We grow apples on it, and there's no question that we have to keep that land out of harm's way. And this is not a use, it wouldn't be a use that would be typically permitted. However, very extenuating circumstances here. There are not a lot of places available that had the facilities that are on this property. So what I do think is that we all admonished the proponent to be very, very certain that he does not aggravate the neighbors who oppose this. And I believe we've done the right thing. And I know that Mr. Bolsink is very anxious to be back on his old site within the space of a year. And I see tremendous progress now being made at remediating the soil on that site. And I know he's well along in his plans for a new structure on the site. So I just think that we have set the stage for a solution for him, but it will be important for him to make sure that he completes his side of the bargain and does everything he can to mitigate the otherwise. Nobody really wants a service center right next door to them, and this is temporary, and it's a 3-year temporary permit for the simple reason that no one knows exactly what constraints will apply. But at the end of the day, I know it is Mr. Bolsing's keen interest to be back in his own property within a year, and we'll be doing everything we can to try and facilitate that. And it's a matter of calling for mutual respect and restraint, and I believe that that's the way all good things are accomplished.
Mm-hmm. Well, it'll be interesting to watch, that's for sure, because I'm quite certain there'll be people who will be keeping an eye on this, that it will, and rightly so. But it'll be interesting to see, and let's hope that supply shortages don't delay the project too much.
I hope not.
Yeah. Now, you alluded earlier to environmental assessment, I believe, and the TC Energy project. Do you want to comment on that, Ross? Because that is an ongoing question before the community. So where is the TC Energy project at today?
Where it is at is, anybody's guess, because we're waiting. Everybody's waiting for an assumed November 30th deadline for ISO to pronounce whether or not it is going to move the project through the next gate, which would then pave the way to environmental assessments. And again, there are many, many hoops for this project to jump through before it, ever came to fruition. But I know there's a lot of angst in the community. Certainly, TC Energy wants to move ahead here, and they really can't without this approval that is rumored to be coming on or about November 30th. But in the meantime, I don't think I've got an exact date yet, but I know that the CAO and myself will be having a meeting with someone from the Federal Impact Assessment Act to talk to us about how exactly this act works. I believe it was an outgrowth of the, you recall when the gas plants that were planned for Oakville and Mississauga got canceled at great expense to Ontario taxpayers. And to try and avoid that type of calamity again, in 2019, the Impact Assessment Act came into force. And so I'll be, and our acting CEO will be meeting with a spokesperson for the Assessment Act. And I've just copied out a few things today from sort of their goals and how they work. So the whole idea is fostering sustainability, ensuring respect of government's commitments with respect to the rights of Indigenous peoples, to include environmental, social, health, and economic factors within the scope of assessments, to establish a fair, predictable, and efficient impact assessment process that enhances Canada's competitiveness and promotes innovation. It's to consider positive and adverse effects, to include early, inclusive, and meaningful public engagement, which is extremely important to save Georgian Bay and others, to promote nation-to-nation, Inuit-to-Crown, and government-to-government partnerships with Indigenous peoples, and to ensure decisions are based on science, Indigenous knowledge, and other sources of evidence, and to assess cumulative effects within a region. And then there's another section on how it actually works. And I think we're going to be tutored on exactly what kind of a role our municipality can play. And one thing, if I didn't mention this before, Matt Smith and I, our interim CAO, have paid a visit to our confreres in South Bruce Peninsula. And we learned there that even though I don't think the deep geological repository for nuclear waste would happen much before, I think it's 2045, there are already people working in the basement of the municipal hall where they are working on all the things they need to be concerned with this project, and are actually being paid for their labor. And one of the things we will be looking for quite early in our negotiations with TC Energy is some compensation for the time that our staff has already put into this project. And I don't think that's going to be a problem, but it needs to be negotiated. One of the 16 projects is the readiness for TC Energy, that project, and all of the things that we need to be ready for should this actually get the nod. And so we're in the middle of negotiations and being ready to set up a steering committee of public members that will work on that whole process of negotiating a community benefits agreement with TC Energy. And it's interesting, I'm getting a lot of calls from the Narwhal. I have another call after this from the Star. But we're being asked questions like, well, how much are you getting in community benefits? What are those community benefits? Or how are the peer reviews going on the environmental assessments? Well, these are all things that have never happened yet and aren't going to happen for a good little while. So we don't have the answers to those things at this point in time. And I'm kind of shocked that people working in national media aren't aware of this. At any rate, we're very much aware of the fact that everything in its good time. But on the other hand, we are trying very hard to be ready when there's a famous saying about something hitting the fan, and that's, we know that day is coming too, and we need to be ready for that. And those are the reasons why we, have open dialogue with TC Energy at this point in time.
Now, you've referred to the ISO, which is, I believe, the independent system operator, which manages the power supply for all of Ontario from the various sources, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. You've got it.
And they're actually the ones who are heading up this project. TC Energy is doing the project, but the ISO has to green light this project.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sounds like the media is thinking the project is further ahead than it actually is.
Quite right. I think that I don't necessarily ridicule them about this, but they're not really aware of the early days of this, how it unfolded. I think that everybody tries to explain it, but it's maybe hard to grasp that the project is at a certain stage now, and there are just many, many gates to go through before it is really a fait accompli.
Sure. Well, Ross, at this point, we're going to take a break. And yeah, we got lots more to talk about. All right. I'm David Shearman. This is Politically Speaking. And yes, we'll be right back.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
You're watching Rogers TV.
My uncle Cheney was one of over 150,000 Indigenous children that were taken to residential schools between the 1800s and 1996. My uncle ran away from school wanting to get home to his mom and dad, and sadly he didn't make it and died of exposure. When Gord Downey found out about my late Uncle Cheney's story, he wrote Secret Path, a series of poems that became an album, then a graphic novel, a documentary, and a concert. Gord met my family, and together we formed the Gord Downey and Cheney Winjack Fund. Together, we are sharing Secret Path and other reconciliation resources with legacy schools, setting up legacy spaces across Canada, and hosting events like Secret Path Week to inspire all Canadians to engage in reconciliation. Before he left us, Gord asked us all to do something.
You're gonna figure it out.
Will you join us? Together, we can make Canada a better place.
On Rogers TV.
Hi, and welcome back to Politically Speaking. I'm David Shearman. My guest today is Ross Kentner, who's the mayor of Meaford. Ross, good to see you. Good to have you back again. Good to have you with us today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure always.
Now, there's a lot of stuff going on in all of our municipalities, but I'm just thinking in light of the recent federal financial statement, which had certain things which were encouraging of housing development, particularly rentals and a whole bunch of other things, and the most recent provincial financial statement with their mantra of build, 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 and how do we do that? Well, what's happening in Meaford?
Well, I did mention that we've had two forums on housing in the space of about 2 weeks, and we're definitely focused very much on affordable housing for our community. And we also have this potential plan to develop the old track property owned by the school board. What's happening on that front is that we have written to the ministers of education and housing and pointed out the contradiction in terms where we need more housing, and we've got a plan to collaborate with Grey County on it, but the school board has attached a price to the property which makes it impossible for us to do that collaboration. At any rate, a lot of things are really coming together. For example, the Skydev brownfield remediation is underway at this point. There's a steady stream of the heaviest trucks I've seen in a long time going through Meaford. But that's a critical part. If that project is going to go ahead, the brownfield has to be remediated, and so that's what's going on there. These are not necessarily affordable houses, but it is housing, and it's also waterfront development. A hotel is part of the first phase. I don't have any details about that at this point in time, but that's the agreement that in the first phase, a hotel will be part of the development. The old fire hall on Nelson Street in Meaford, just a treasure in terms of a building, similar to Markdale's old fire hall. It is being restored right now, and it's going to be converted into a restaurant, a high-end restaurant. And I think that it's going to be just a huge asset in concert with Meaford Hall, which, by the way, every conference that we hold in Meaford Hall, we just get raves about, what we have there. The progress at Loon Call is really quite dramatic. I expect there'll be 100 homes under construction there very shortly. And Bay Bounce, as it's now called, on the south side of Highway 26, they're just have a little zoning correction that it was a municipal error. I don't know whether it was the municipality, the first tier, or the county, but at any rate, it's being corrected collaboratively. But as soon as that's tidied up, I think they're going to start on their first 50 homes on the south side of Highway 26. So there's a lot happening, and it's very exciting times. I see just so much potential. And next year is our sesquicentennial. The town of Meaford will be 150 years old, and I think we're certainly doing lots of planning to ensure that we put our best foot forward. And I already see a lot of new businesses and re-energized businesses on our main street.
And just to be clear, sesquicentennial is 150 years, I believe.
It is. Both Sydenham and St. Vincent are actually older, and we'll celebrate those anniversaries with them. But they are also joining in Meaford's 150th. So there will be activities in Bognor and in Annan and Leith and that sort of thing, which is, really a great way to celebrate this new municipality, which is now about 22 years old now, this amalgamation of Meaford, Sydenham, and St. Vincent.
Sure. And I mean, after all, who doesn't love a party?
Here's the thing: we're looking at many parties. The concept is it is a year-long celebration, and so very, very happy to tell you that most of, or if not all of the groups that do stage events in Meaford, and I'm thinking, for example, of the Scarecrow Parade. There are so many of them really throughout the year. MIF, the Meaford International Film Festival, which is moving into October this year. Think of some of the others. Well, there's a Georgian Bay Spring Trout Derby. There is, of course, the Salmon Spectacular in August. All these events are saying that they will play into or tie into the 150th. And of course, institutions like our museum, our library, and the businesses in Meaford. And I should add the chamber there, of course. And the businesses in Meaford are also, because a lot of them are inhabiting really century or more old buildings that are really our architectural heritage. They're going to be celebrating and highlighting stories of their history.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Sounds like a. Now, Ross, are you a historical monument yet?
I am certainly historical. Not hysterical.
Right. Well, you have many, many years of living in Meaford as well. So,
I came in at Thanksgiving in 1956 while I was still in high school, and I've been giving thanks ever since, because Meaford has just been, so important in every way to me and my family.
Well, that's great. That's great. Now, one of the other things that is going to be happening is, of course, the Santa Claus Parade. And it's my pleasure to let you know that I'll be doing the broadcast for Rogers TV. I'm not sure whether it's live or not, but it'll certainly be taped, and then it'll be shown throughout the season here on Rogers TV, which, by the way, you can watch on the internet on the Rogers TV Grey County webpage. And all that stuff is posted there, including, dare I say it, politically speaking. But so, Ross, you will live forever. You will live forever on the internet. So, as will I.
The Georgian Bay Explorer has now been digitized by the Owen Sound and Grey North Public Union Library. And that is very exciting to me that all those scripts have been preserved. So, but anyway, coming back to the Santa Claus.
Actually, I want to come back to that, because I think that's a really important part of our local history. And although it's not Meaford per se, did you ever count how many episodes you did about Meaford?
Are you sitting down?
Yeah. There
were 11,000 scripts written by Andrew Armitage over a period of pretty close to 3 decades.
Goodness.
Yeah, and I recorded almost all of them. And so they are preserved, and I'm trying to think of the website now, SoundCloud, I think it is. You can go there, and the library is rolling them out in albums of 30 episodes at a time. And so we had an event over at the library there just about a week or so ago, and this was unveiled. And we, along with Richard Thomas and Tim Harrison, we had a great friendly discussion and reminiscing about Andrew Armitage and his marvelous contributions to the Grey Bruce area.
Yes, indeed. Andrew's passing not that long ago was certainly a loss, but this is the kind of heritage that will live forever, because those scripts are there, and it's your voice and his work. And I remember when I first came to Grey County, this is cool. I like, because I'm a history buff, but I really enjoyed those stories because they told me a lot about the things that were unsaid or not told or had been lost to the mists of time. So
I feel that Andrew actually created an appetite for more information about our past in the area. And it's a glorious past. I mean, just a phenomenal, all the stories of the life on the lakes, all the stories about pioneer days, logging days. It's a tremendous resource, and so important that we acquaint ourselves more with it.
I remember you never know where you'll find these stories as well. I remember going into Kornblum's menswear and hearing stories of how they would cash checks for sailors because the banks were closed. And there's a little bit of history that we keep forgetting, of which you're a part of as well. But it keeps history alive, and it is so important to remember that stuff.
So coming back to the Santa Claus Parade, will be. I get the pleasure, if I can keep from shivering too much, of waiting for the parade to come to an end. And for Santa's helpers to get him from wherever first of all, get him down off of the sleigh, because he's perched way up there, and then they have to get him into the hall and maybe get him warmed up a little bit. I'm not sure what fuel they use, but anyway, and then hot
chocolate.
Then he comes out the front door, accompanied by Georgie from the Christmas on the Bay. And of course, I've known Santa for years. You probably have too. And it is just such a delight to see him again in person and to really, catch up on a few things. And then we turn on the lights at the Christmas tree at Meaford Hall. So it is a very, very special honor, and something I thoroughly enjoyed last year, and I'm looking forward to very much this year.
Well, what I really appreciated about the Meaford Santa Claus Parade is that when I started doing the coverage with the Rogers, we stood outside, and so I had to dress warmly. Well, we've moved inside now, and we actually do it on we have all the cameras set up, and we do it on a monitor. So we're warm. So
good. That's a good thing.
That's the secret. That's what's behind the curtain. But I always look forward to the Meaford Santa Claus Parade. Now, what's the start time?
I believe it starts at about 5 p.m.
Okay.
And I think that the tree lighting should occur somewhere around 6:15.
Okay. Well, it should be, and this is December 2nd, I believe.
Yes, and keep in mind, Christmas on the Bay will be going on the Market Square. And this will be the second annual, and that was a great festival last year.
Yes, it was. And all of our small towns are great places to be at Christmas, whether it's Owen Sound or Shallow Lake or Tara or Chesley or Durham or Markdale or Meaford. Great places to be at Christmas. Great places to find lots of unique stuff and to enjoy the season.
Great places to be year-round, too.
Absolutely.
We know that.
No. Oh, hey, would I be here if I didn't enjoy it? We're of one mind there, Ross.
Yep.
I want to move over a little bit to celebrate a couple of local businesses. First of all, the CBC's Dragon's Den, which is an entertainment investment show, but a local family from Meaford will be on at the end of November. Do you want to talk about that?
Very, very exciting. No one knows at this point, but I don't think they would be advertising this so wisely or so thoroughly if they did not acquire a significant dragon. And that's such amazing news, because, as you know, those the people who attract those dragons, it's straight up for them because of all the connections these people have, and they seem to have a bottomless pit of money. But more than anything, they just have that entrepreneurial spirit that makes everything that seems impossible within the realm of the possible.
And the product that they're proposing is a drink called Gingerbug.
Yes, and I think what it is a soft drink with none of the disadvantages of soft drinks. That is my take on it.
Yeah, no sugar.
I think they eschew sugar.
Yeah. Well, hey, watch for it in your local store. We'll have to watch for that. The other thing that's always interesting is Meaford's own Dragon's Den, which happened just recently. And I saw a picture of you presenting the award to the winner.
That picture was staged. But I did have the opportunity to take some pictures after with the winners, and this is such an amazing story. It almost seems unreal that the number of successful businesses that have come through that Meaford Dragons, it's called now. The CBC started enforcing its franchise, and we had to stop calling it Dragon's Den. But at the end of the day, that's what it really is. And but with local dragons, and it isn't that they have oodles of money to disperse. There's $15,000 in prizes and in-kind prizes. But at the end of the day, the people who do the coaching, the dragons who give feedback, you can't buy that with money. Like that is, and it starts with a belief in people's innate ability to achieve. It starts with an appreciation for their talent and their ideas, and it just reinforces and empowers the candidates. One of the candidates we knew very well, she came in second, very young, very idealistic. Boy, the growth just in the space of a couple of weeks while they're working with people like Bob Peel from the Meaford Chamber of Commerce and the different dragons, who are all outstanding. They're successful people, and success rubs off if you want it to. I'm kind of preaching here, but honestly, I think it has been amazing over the years, and I think it's about. If you give me a second, I've actually got a flyer here. Can I just excuse myself for one split second? If I can tell you it was the 15th annual Dragon's Den. And I believe somewhere in here it says that there's been 65 different businesses spawned in those 15 years. That's a huge success rate. It truly is. And that's just one of the great things about this municipality. And I know every other Grey Bruce municipality has many similar stories.
Sure. Well, just to switch topics a little bit, you indicated that you've had some learning around human trafficking. And can you tell us more about that, Ross?
Yeah, we think of things like human trafficking as affecting immigrants, affecting people in the big cities. I'll tell you, serving on the Community Services Committee of Grey County Council has been such an eye-opener to me. And so recently I learned that we have trafficking problems in our own backyard. And this tends to be young teenagers, anywhere from 13 to, on up. That's scary. And the learning that I wanted to pass on, David, is just simply that it all starts online. That's where kids get into trouble, get in with people who take advantage of naivety, take advantage of what would I say? We know that many kids are quite troubled today for one reason or another, but with good reason. I mean, life is hard as a young person at times, and doubly so in these times. So it's not surprising that they can get hooked and get lured into whether it's with promise of a job, money, gifts, whatever. But it all leads downhill and very fast. And so I just think that the best place to start is with parents knowing what their kids are looking at online. Because I was quite shocked to hear. I asked, is this, are people being lured to this area? Are they being lured away from it? And the answer was both.
Yes, indeed. It's the seamier side of our world. People taking advantage of others, particularly vulnerable children. But yeah, it is an issue, and it's something that the police are certainly very aware of. And it's good to hear that they're alerting people like yourself. I know that the police services are running public seminars. I know we'll speak to groups about the issue of human trafficking, and it's not something that it is something that is in our community right now. So it's something we need to be aware of and deal with.
And homelessness, I mean, you used to have to go to Toronto to see people sleeping on the streets. One of the regular contributors to Open Line, I heard him just this week reporting seeing someone sleeping just kitty corner from the Owen Sound Legion branch on the sidewalk this week. And it was about 3 days ago, which, I think it was the coldest night we'd had so far. And expressing shock about this, but I know from meeting people from Safe and Sound and other ways that the county is working to put a roof over the heads of people who are actually literally on the street, and it's incredible the dollars involved. And all I can say, I've heard this discussion at County Council now, and many times people just saying, we really can't afford this, but we have to do something. We just cannot let people freeze on the street. And it's incredible that it's come to that point. But and so hence Safe and Sound is open, 24 hours a day. Like they are providing like a warm spot. If you are on the street, you can come in and get warm at any time of the day or night.
Yes. I recall hearing an interview with Annette Pedler, who's the CEO of Safe and Sound, and she was asked what would be a successful winter for Safe and Sound. And her answer, that no one dies.
Annette, we've known Annette since she was a young person. She's a Meaford girl, and so well suited to this job. And I must say, I dealt, for example, with the head of the housing department there as a landlord in the past, and I wasn't necessarily always happy with the answers I got. On the inside now, and I see how concerned and compassionate he is, and the job that he is trying to do for people who are in such dire needs, and believe me, they are legion. What I will do our next get together, I'll get some figures together for you, because we're not talking about a small portion of our population. We're talking about a lot of people who are absolutely desperate. And so this is a very challenging time, but I do believe that at the county level, a lot of funding is being judiciously funneled into this to try and help solve the problem.
I should also give a shout out to the supportive outreach services, which are funded by Grey County, part of Grey County paramedics, and doing some very good work. I do know that the SOS program, while it serves a number of communities, including, of course, Owen Sound and Hanover, but also Durham and Meaford, that they come to Meaford every 2 weeks as well, because there are people who need that support in Meaford, and right in your backyard, Ross.
This is an amazing initiative, and our paramedics deserve such credit for conceiving this model. And I believe the province is quite impressed with this model, and it may roll out in other places. Quite possible.
Yeah, it's also we also want to give a shout out to their other partners, Canadian Mental Health, Public Health, and United Way of Bruce Gray, and as well as the paramedic service for Grey County. It's a great program, and certainly glad to see as a county councillor, I'm glad to see you support the funding of the program.
We just simply have to. It is dire straits, and maybe next time I will pull together some facts and figures for you, because it has been. The other thing is this role has been like a front row seat on the opioid crisis, which is I think things are getting a little bit better, but honestly, it's been a terrible toll and very, very challenging.
Yes, indeed. In fact, I just saw recently the update from Public Health on the number of opioid overdoses, majority of whom survived, but there were fatalities. I think there were 5 on this report.
And again, I've talked to our fire chief about this. These happen in Meaford as well. There's really no area that is exempt from or able to escape some of the tragedies that are unfolding. So,
yeah, absolutely. And if you talk to SOS, that they will say, well, carry naloxone, because you just never know. So, but yeah, next time we talk, and I'm sure that won't be too much longer, Ross. Might be after Christmas. We'll talk about that for sure. Well, I'm getting the hook, so it's time to say farewell. Thank you, Ross, for joining me.
Thank you very much, David. Always great to have you.
And thank you, friends, for being a part of Politically Speaking. I'm David Shearman. Yes, we will talk again.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Lovely viewers, it's your host of On the Couch, Antoine El Hashim, reminding you to tune in for every episode of Season 9 of the longest running and most loved local queer talk show on Rogers TV. Check it out.
The regulars, the guys who keep this place in business. Last week, they had something to celebrate. Jason had just finished university. So they toasted his profs, his TAs, his